Welcome to the Cutcode channel, where we will introduce you to MoonShine version 2.0. If you're not a fan yet, you definitely will be soon. This guide is for all Laravel fans and those who are using MoonShine for the first time. This guide will cover the implementation of the admin and web parts of the site on MoonShine. With the advent of MoonShine 2.0, this has become possible and we can take advantage of it in this guide. Our goal is to create a Laravel blog using MoonShine without adding any additional layout or design. We will also use MoonShine to develop a web component using existing components. You can go to the documentation section and see them. The documentation presents a wide range of components, including a card component that is suitable for news. We'll also create any additional components needed, which is easy to do with MoonShine. And due to this, we will open up new opportunities for MoonShine. I have already started writing projects and MVPs that do not require design and can be done independently. MoonShine is ideal for these tasks. If MoonShine 2 had been available a year ago, I would have implemented all my cutcode.dev, cutcode.tz projects and courses on it, both the web part and the back office. This would save me a lot of time and make maintenance easier. Unfortunately, at that time there was no such powerful tool. However, now I have it and will rewrite these projects using MoonShine. This guide explains how to do this. If during the process I find that something is missing or find any bugs, so much the better. I will immediately fix them and make new MoonShine releases with you. Let's start, guys. Talk less, work more. Let's go. Friends, don't worry, in this video we will not implement authentication again, do simple work with Eloquent and write migrations, etc. All these points have already been covered in my cutcode.dev project, where we have simple models. There are also several controllers here. We'll look at these controllers in more detail as we go. Controllers include displaying articles, showing a specific article, saving comments, and adding likes. Fortify will do the authentication and I have already installed it without making any changes. The only thing I changed was the Fortify service provider, and also specified the registration and login views. We will also do all this together with you on MoonShine. But if we look at the views now, we will see Welcome, Blade, which Laravel uses by default, and all other views are empty for now. They are created so that I can navigate what exactly needs to be worked with, but there is no content inside yet. The site itself currently looks like this. Also, I've already created a composer require MoonShine/MoonShine. This is a mandatory step for the site to function. For implementation instructions, see the MoonShine manual. I also made PHP Artisan MoonShine, install. Everything is default. Didn't do anything unusual. And also, as soon as I finish this guide, I will publish this repository on GitHub in the MoonShine software account so that you can also try it and additionally look at the code. I don't think I missed anything. You can also see migrations, articles, etc. As you can see, everything is quite simple. I also added factories for articles and categories, as well as a seed that adds 20 articles and for now simply links every 10 categories created earlier. Okay, friends. Enough with the introductions, it's time to move on to the implementation. Friends, since I don't fully remember all the components from MoonShine 2.0, I will periodically refer to the documentation. So, let's start from the main page. We will also change from time to time. We will create a web part, we will create an admin part. In general, we'll figure it out as we go. First, let's redesign Welcome Blade a little, and later we'll move everything into a separate template to make it easier to work with. Let's start by connecting MoonShine assets. With this directive we will output the default system, CSS, and JS from MoonShine. Let's also change the title to make it look nice. Okay. As you know, MoonShine has a theme change feature. Light and dark. We will use it in the web version as well. For this to work, we need to wrap the X date from Alpine in an HTML tag and add a class. Like this. I just copied from the main MoonShine. Let's also delete all the content piece we had along with the body. And let's immediately start writing the appearance using MoonShine components. Let's start with the MoonShine layout component. Thus, we will already create a body with all the necessary tags and classes, so that we do not have to return to this later. Next, we will add an additional component with flash notifications. We will need them when authenticating or creating comments. We will need them anyway. Okay, layout flash. We'll display it at the top. So far, everything is approximately the same as in MoonShine, only we are not building a template through a class, not through a layout builder, but directly using components. We go to the browser and update. And now we see that our background has changed. Everything has already arrived from the MoonShine assets, but there is no content yet. At this point, I suggest doing the following. Implement a common layout right away so that we can use it later on different pages. Let's create a layout directory. And let's create an app blade. Okay, let's move it here. And in the welcome blade we will make extends, layouts app, and the section, content. It's a standard. Okay. Let's move on to the layout and continue. What else will we need in our project blog? Of course, the top menu. Let's implement it and create it using a component as well. MoonShine has a sidebar with a menu bar as well as a top menu. In the admin panel itself we will use the sidebar, at least I like it better, and in the web part we will use the top menu, it's more familiar. Okay, MoonShine, layout.topbar. Let's open the browser and see that we already have a base in the form of a logo. Please note that the logo leads to the admin area. We don't need this. We are not in the admin area right now, but we need the logo to enter the main page of our main site. We will have the same thing with the profile. It leads to the admin panel, the logout also leads to the admin panel. We need to redefine these items, and it is very easy to do. Firstly, through the home root attribute. Here we are going to specify that we need to use the home page root. Let's refresh and see that we now have a home page. All we have to do is change the right side, where we have the profile or login button. Let's use the slot. X-slot, profile. We'll completely change what we have now, but we'll still use the component we have that displays the avatar and the logout button. We'll just do it a little differently. If we are in web session mode, we will simply display this profile. If we are in guest mode, we will display a login button. We will also use a button component, MoonShine, link button. All these components are in the documentation. I just remembered many of them in the process. You will initially refer to the documentation and do everything based on it. Okay, now if we have a session, we need to display an avatar and a logout button. There is already a component for this. Let's use this. MoonShine, layout, profile. We have it right here. And additionally we need to customize it a little. As we saw earlier, he had a different route to the profile. Let's change it and also change the logout. Let's see what we have here. We see a login button, there is no session yet, and we'll see the rest as we go. Let's go back and think about what else we're missing. We have a top menu, but it's empty for now. Let's also add it at the top. MoonShine, layout, menu. Let's take the menu directly from MoonShine. Let's go back and refresh and see that we have a menu. And this is from the sections that are included in MoonShine by default. This is not exactly what we need. We want them to stay in MoonShine only and the web parts to be their own. Let's change this together. Let's go to Provider. MoonShine Provider. Here we will add a can-see group and specify request. Root is, only if we have MoonShine. Let's refresh and see that we are missing a menu item since we are not in the admin area itself. We don't need documentation in general, but let's replace it with articles. Let's also add can see, but with a negation, and change the link to FN root, articles index. Why do we have an anonymous function here and not just root? Because at the start of the provider we do not yet have a routing system connected, so the article index will not be found. But in this form it will be normal, it will work. And here we see that we have articles, we can go to them, and there we have a blank screen because the view has not yet been implemented. Okay, let's continue implementing the layout. We've made the header, now let's move on to the content part. We'll make a tag main and specify the layout page class. Here it is not from a component, but from a class that is in MoonShine, and inside we will make an area where breadcrumbs will be displayed. Let's create a MoonShine grid. Let's create a column. I think we will still need this grid, perhaps some columns will be added to this area. And let's take the component out of MoonShine, MoonShine layout header. Okay. Let's just change it up a little. The MoonShine layout header displays notifications, language changes by default. We will not have multilingualism in the web part, and we also do not need notifications. Let's remove these things, let's do it with notifications false and locales false. Let's check it out just in case and see if everything is okay. We can see that we have a piece of content and there are no breadcrumbs on the main page yet, but the area is showing. Let's come back and continue. After the header area, let's move on to the content part. Within the MoonShine component it will be simple. The inside will simply be ILT content, so we will draw sections from those views that inherit this layout. Let's go back and update. We don't have anything here yet because our welcome section is empty. Let's put something here, hello. Let's go back and see that the text is output where it should be. I don't really want to end the lesson with just a greeting, so let's place the latest articles on the main page, as is usually done, and at the same time use the card component. Let's think about which one we'll take. There is this view, and also this one, when everything is displayed from above. I like the top one, let's take it. Let's go back. As I said earlier, I won't show the controllers, how I work with Eloquent, everything is simple there. Let's just make articles for each article. All this has already been implemented. And we'll add our own card to each one. Go back to the MoonShine 2.0 blog and see what we got out of it. We see that at the moment we have a copied result. And immediately we see that we have all the cards in one line, and this is not very beautiful. Let's fix this moment. Again, we're going to use MoonShine components, and the component we already know, MoonShine column. Okay. And let's add a grid. We're going to move all this beauty inside. And set the call span to 4 so we have 3 cards each. Let's go back, refresh the page, and we see that we have 3 cards in a row. If we reduce it, it will be 1 card at a time. Overall we are pleased. Let's go back and continue with the redesign. Okay, we're going to do a URL via a route. In this project we don't have article display because the article and category links will be in one place and already in the controller to define what is required. Next we need an article slug. Let's check, maybe I'm wrong. The link seems to have been formed, and we move, everything works, white screen, everything is as it should. The next overlay is designed to bring all the content on top. We will change the thumbnail and also remove the existing one from the article, make an image. I have a trait that immediately generates an image. And set the size to 500 by 300. Title is the title of the article. Data, article created at format. Okay, I also see that we have a button at the bottom, let's work on that too and give it the correct URL. And read more will do it in more detail. If I'm not mistaken, I don't have text previews for articles, but let's take a look. There is only a full description, but in general it can be used, because I'm unlikely to add the actual text now. Okay, let there be a description. The badge new, I don't think we need it. We don't need to output the ID. And we generally have an author, but he is not always present, so let's add him and set the author's name. If there is no author, then let there be a dash for now. So, let's go back, refresh and see that all our articles are without pictures, since we have not yet connected the admin panel, but otherwise everything is quite as planned. Friends, this is the end of the MoonShine lesson. The next lesson will be even more interesting, so subscribe, press the bell and don't forget about likes and comments. This is extremely important for the development of the channel and for the development of MoonShine itself. And thank you in advance for your likes and comments, and thank you for watching, and for choosing MoonShine and staying with us. Thanks again for watching. See you in the next video on cutcode.